Hello friends, today I will tell you the story of 2022 called RIPD 2, Rise of the Damned. Enjoy watching. It all started in 1876, when a guy dug a hole in the ground in the hopes of finding gold during a full moon eclipse. He is suddenly taken over by an evil spirit, and a blazing sign emerges on his chest. A month later, at the train station, Roy, the local sheriff, runs across his cherished daughter Charlotte and her boyfriend Angus. Although it's obvious that the sheriff doesn't like Angus, Charlotte is content with him, so Roy must respect her decision. Abruptly, Zeke and his band of bandits attack the settlement. After bringing his daughter to safety, after realizing that they are kidnapping people, Roy gets into a gunfight with the robbers. Zeke is killed by the sheriff, but sadly Roy doesn't see the second bandit lurking behind him and soon finds himself in a strange area. Hannah, a woman, greets him with open arms in the beyond. Roy appears the happy when he finds out that his daughter and her partner are still alive and asks about her right away. Roy's appointment to the Ghost Patrol is a result of his expertise as a sheriff. Fighting the undead is the responsibility of the divine police. The undead, according to Hannah, are the spirits of the dead who have escaped judgment and taken up residence in human bodies. The sheriff is completely perplexed by this explanation. Roy is then led by her to the armory, where the only weapons available are those that can eliminate the undead. All a conventional pistol does is hurt people. The woman informs Roy that a soul escaped from hell during the most recent full moon eclipse, and he will be returned to Earth provided he accepts a task. Roy nods his head in agreement with this. She forbids him from looking for his family or exacting revenge on them, telling him that the task must come first. Roy signs the contract right away before being sent to Earth without even reading it. She almost forgets to warn him that humanity would perish in 2 days if he doesn't finish the task. Roy steps out of the portal in an instant, only to have a bison knock him down out of nowhere. Roy is introduced as a partner by an enigmatic woman called Jana, but he is accustomed to working alone. He is reminded by the woman of the terms of the contract, which require them to follow Hannah's instructions. Jana, who has been a member of the Ghost Patrol for 445 years, insists that Roy has been dead for 3 days, despite Roy's desire to be in command. A few hours later, Roy returns home to meet his daughter, but Jana is not in favor of it. At last, Jana reveals that Roy has assumed the form of a woman on Earth and that his family members will never comprehend a word he says. Roy's closest friend shows up at that same moment and only has positive things to say about the late sheriff. However, Roy soon finds out that the bandits have kidnapped other people, including Angus, the boyfriend of his daughter. During a recent bank heist, 3 of the 5 criminals were apprehended. Roy makes the decision to put his daughter's happiness above the objective. Even Jana is powerless to sway the unyielding boss from his decision to save Angus at all costs. Roy and Jana wait for the carriage carrying the 3 bandits after some time. At that point, Roy 1 informs Jana that their mother claims Zeke and his 4 siblings were once wonderful people. The sons once dug an ancient well. The next day, they were completely changed and had returned home as ruthless robbers. The partners observe a blazing emblem of the undead on each of the 3 brothers as they see the carriage with them in it. Jana successfully ambushes the marshals and then demonstrates to the evil spirit how God's tears affect it. After they dispatch 2 of the undead, Slim, the most pitiful of them all, remains. Rumors have it that he killed Roy, so the sheriff decides to question him. The bandit disputes the accusations, claiming he was set up. Slim recounts about Otis, who is so strong that the brothers had to follow his orders to kidnap people after having an encounter with a drop of holy water. Otis has Ghost Patrol weaponry as well. The partners pursue Otis right away after realizing how serious the issue is. Otis is informed by a woman named Nell that Zeke and the brothers have abducted 8 more individuals in the meanwhile. Otis is disappointed by Nell, but he still demands more people. As it happens, Otis's origins are questioned by Zeke and the other dead people. Otis describes how he got out of hell. In order for wicked souls to take control of the planet during the blood moon, he wants people to open the gates of hell. After an hour, Otis resolves to use Ghost Patrol weaponry to destroy Zeke's soul as a form of retaliation. The undead now have complete faith in their commander. Roy resolves to destroy Slim since he is getting tired of his chatter at that point. They eventually reach their location at night. Following their arrival at the hotel, whose proprietor happens to be Julius, the town's mayor, Roy and Jana start to mistrust Julius after learning from a maid that prospectors were hunting for gold next to an ancient well. Because of her extensive knowledge, Jana was able to predict Otis's strategy during the blood moon. Later, as his health deteriorates, Julius remembers the individuals he sacrificed and asks Otis for a protective gas mask. On the other hand, Otis thinks that death is not the worst thing that will occur in the near future. They intend to deliver Julius to the persons who were kidnapped as soon as he puts on the mask. At the hotel, Slim snatches ghostly weapons from Roy, but he gives them back right away. The bandit attempts to persuade the patrol of his goodness. Jana is certain that dead men are acting in this way to escape hell, but Roy doesn't think so. As Roy and Jana leave Slim at the motel, they hear Julius screaming. Roy questions why the Hell Gate are impossible for the undead to dig up. Jana claimed that God had built a barrier between Earth and Hell, and that the only people who could unlock the gates of Hell and free souls were those who were under the blood moon. The dead people attack them out of the blue. The maid discovers evidence in Julius's office during the unfair fight, proving that the bandit didn't really kill Roy and that he had framed Slim. Slim delivers masks for the surviving residents of the village as a token of appreciation for the woman's freedom from him. Later, Roy and Jana are captured by the dead. It comes out that Nell was formerly a member of the Ghost Patrol. In addition to betraying them, she also committed an armory robbery and gave Otis the weaponry. When Angus attacks the undead and won't give up, their discussion is cut off. After hearing about Angus's kindness and fighting prowess, Roy concludes that a man like that ought to be with Charlotte. Soon after, Nell makes fun of Jana because she is particularly terrified of fire, and Otis wants to build the Earth's version of the 10th Circle of Hell. It comes out that the Saint Joan of Arc, who perished in a fire 445 years ago, is actually Roy's companion. Then Slim shows in, saying he wants to exact revenge on Roy and Jana, but unintentionally ends up killing the dead people. Slim presents proof of Roy's innocence in his death, and asks for a retrial of his soul before freeing the pair. Otis, in the meantime, succeeds in opening the gates of hell. As a result, individuals begin to be inhabited by the cursed souls. When Angus learns that those who gaze at them are inhabited by spirits, he decides to try saving people rather than fleeing. Slim shows in, putting Roy at gunpoint and telling Otis that he killed Jana because she had killed the guards. Then Slim is told by Otis to cast Roy into hell. Slim shoots Otis, waiting for the right opportunity, but the soul shields him. Roy gives Slim the order to assist Angus in getting the last few victims out while he battles Otis and the other dead people. Roy had fought a long battle and was almost dead. When Jana realizes this, she musters the resolve to use God's tears to seal the gates of hell. Sadly, Otis ended to being an exception to the partners' belief that their duty is accomplished once the cursed spirits are drawn back in. Jana is appalled to discover that Astaroth, the devil's right-hand man, is responsible for this. The partners are helpless against the powerful demon, no matter how hard they try. Roy is fortunate enough to find a few tears of God during the struggle, which he uses to slay Astaroth. People head back to their homes in the town as the sun rises. Julius acknowledges that he shot one of the bandits in an attempt to get out of town during Zeke's gang attack, but Roy ended up becoming the target. He framed Slim in order to get away with it. Roy makes the decision to install Slim as the new mayor and to sentence Julius to prison for treason. The wedding day of Charlotte and Angus finally arrives. Roy gives his daughter a strong hug after failing to make a speech that they could comprehend. Roy is prepared to enter paradise the following day, but Jana mocks him and reminds him of the agreement. As it happens, Roy will have to work on the Ghost Patrol alongside Jana for an additional 100 years. Roy gets pushed down by the bison once more as the story comes to a conclusion. And that's all. Friends, likes, and subscribe to the channel.